Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spinoff confirms Taylor Sheridan cannot escape Kevin Costner's legacy. Yellowstone's upcoming Beth and Rip spinoff confirms that Taylor Sheridan can't shake Kevin Costner's legacy as John Dutton IUI. Paramount Network's hit neo-western wrapped up its run with a show-changing decision for the Dutton kids to save the ranch from developers. With John IUI dead, Beth and Case scrambled to ensure that their dad's dream of keeping it intact remained, and the solution was essentially giving the land back to the Broken Rock tribe. It's difficult to imagine if John IUI had approved of this if he was still around, but it was the best outcome, given the circumstances. The Yellowstone finale effectively wraps up the Duttons' collective story in the land that they occupied for 7 generations. However, the franchise will live with several spin-offs coming. Sheridan's universe already has an ongoing prequel, with 1923, but his storytelling will continue in modern times with The Madison, a spin-off led by Michelle Pfeiffer, and another show spearheaded by Cole Hauser and Kelly Reilly. Currently untitled, Beth and Rip's spin-off's story remains unclear, but its existence confirms that Sheridan can't escape Costner, even after John IUI met his end in a show that is now finished. As fan favorites, Beth and Rip's story was heavily focused on in the main show. Yellowstone tackled their love story extensively, although since the flagship was still an ensemble, there are bits and pieces of their history that remain unexplored, both as a couple and individually. Beth and Rip are very interesting, hence why it made sense that the franchise's next offshoot will front both of them. That being said, it isn't lost that what's being billed as a spin-off is essentially just Yellowstone Season 6, especially given how prominent the characters were in the original series. This is actually a point of contention for the upcoming endeavor right now. Yellowstone's Beth and Rip spin-off is potentially facing legal issues with regard to streaming rights. Sheridan and his creative team need to prove that the offshoot isn't simply a continuation of the mothership. Somehow, it's a blessing, since it forces the screenwriter to come up with new takes for the said characters. Regardless of how Sheridan deals with this issue, however, Beth and Rip's offshoot is the closest thing that viewers will ever have to Yellowstone Season 6. Beyond being interesting as characters, it's also worth noting that Beth and Rip are John IUI's best successors. Case never really wanted to have anything to do with the ranch, and had a contentious relationship with his dad. This doesn't mean that he didn't love him, he did. However, he was too different from him. Jamie, on the other hand, was so desperate for John IUI's approval that he became resentful when he continued to fail to get it. Meanwhile, Beth was a daddy's girl through and through. Granted that she didn't agree with everything he wanted to do, but at the end of the day, she was loyal to him. The same can be said about Rip, who wasn't related to him by blood but was arguably the son he always wanted. Because of what John IUI did for him, Beth's husband was a committed ally to the Dutton family patriarch. Together, Beth and Rip are the best stalwarts of John IUI's legacy in the Yellowstone franchise, whether that's by preserving his impact or by keeping his defining traits alive in the franchise. Seeing their story continue via their own spin-offs is the best way to highlight Costner's impact on the show. In fact, it would be difficult to craft Beth and Rip's future without acknowledging the influence John IUI had on them. Because of the way Costner exited Yellowstone, the chances of him returning to the franchise are very slim to none. Sheridan had to be creative in the final episodes of the main show to be able to properly send John IUI off, even when the narrative revealed that he was killed early on. Admittedly, the new show decides to use previously unseen footage of John IUI via flashbacks or visions. Perhaps it can also tap a body double for it. However, it's highly unlikely that Costner will ever reprise his role again in the neo-western series. Taylor Sheridan has become a household name in the television world, crafting complex narratives that marry sprawling landscapes with the raw intensity of human drama. With Yellowstone as his crowning achievement, Sheridan has built an empire of interconnected series. Yet even as the Yellowstone universe expands, it becomes increasingly clear that the specter of Kevin Costner's John Dutton looms large, shaping not only the franchise's themes but its characters. The announcement of a spin-off centered on Beth and Rip underscores Sheridan's creative struggle to carve a path forward while remaining tethered to the legacy Costner helped forge. The Dutton dynasty. A colossal shadow. From the moment Kevin Costner's John Dutton rode onto the screen, Yellowstone established itself as a story of legacy and power. Costner brought gravitas to John, embodying the quintessential patriarch, stoic, morally conflicted, and fiercely protective of his land and family. As the narrative unfolded, the Duttons' internecine conflicts and alliances became a microcosm of John's vision for the ranch. Costner's portrayal cemented John Dutton as the series' anchor, and his influence is palpable in every corner of Sheridan's storytelling. With Costner's departure from the flagship series, Sheridan faces a daunting challenge. How do you sustain a narrative empire when its central figure has stepped off the stage? The answer, it seems, lies in elevating other characters, in this case, Beth and Rip, to carry the torch. But as much as Beth's fiery resilience and Rip's quiet strength make them compelling, their arcs remain indelibly tied to John's ethos. The forthcoming spinoff is as much an homage to Costner's influence as it is an attempt to forge new ground. Beth and Rip, heirs to the Dutton legacy. Beth Dutton, Kelly Rayleigh, and Rip Wheeler, Cole Hauser, have long been fan favorites, their tumultuous love story providing a counterpoint to Yellowstone's broader themes of family loyalty and land stewardship. Beth's sharp wit and unyielding ferocity make her a force of nature, while Rip's stoic loyalty grounds their relationship in an unshakable sense of belonging. Together, they embody the Dutton family spirit, fiercely protective, deeply flawed, and unrelentingly determined. The spinoff, reportedly set to explore their life as stewards of the Yellowstone Ranch, offers fertile ground for storytelling. However, it also risks being overshadowed by the legacy of John Dutton. Much of Beth's identity is shaped by her father, his approval, his disdain, and his unwavering belief in the land. Rip, too, owes his place in the Dutton world to John's decision to give a troubled boy a second chance. Stripping away Costner's presence doesn't erase these dynamics, it amplifies them, casting John as an almost mythic figure whose absence looms larger than his presence. Sheridan's world-building, expansion or repetition. Sheridan's Yellowstone universe is expansive, with spin-offs like 1883 and 1923 delving into the Dutton family's historical roots. These prequels have been praised for their rich storytelling and ability to stand alone, yet they also reinforce the centrality of John Dutton's lineage. Every decision, every conflict, every triumph in these series ultimately feeds back into the legacy John represents. The Beth and Rip spinoff, however, occupies a different narrative space. It isn't a prequel or a side story, it's a continuation of Yellowstone's central timeline. This distinction heightens the stakes for Sheridan. Unlike prequels, which benefit from historical distance, the Beth and Rip series must grapple directly with the aftermath of John's departure. The danger lies in repetition, recycling themes of land preservation, familial loyalty, and betrayal without Costner's commanding presence to ground them. For the spin-off to succeed, Sheridan must find a way to honor the past while crafting a fresh, compelling vision for the future. Kevin Costner's indelible mark. Costner's departure from Yellowstone has been shrouded in controversy, from scheduling conflicts to creative differences. Regardless of the behind-the-scenes drama, his influence on the series is undeniable. Costner's portrayal of John Dutton brought an old-school Hollywood charisma that elevated Yellowstone from a gritty drama to a cultural phenomenon. His name alone lent the series a gravitas that attracted viewers and solidified its place in the zeitgeist.